Hey guys, what's up? Welcome. How are you? I hope you guys are having an amazing day. For today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you guys my top 21 products of 2021 so far. So I've been seeing a bunch of different variations of this kind of video going around, like top 10s or favorite palettes, but I personally figured I would share with you guys 21 because we're pretty much halfway, a little bit over halfway through the year. And then hopefully when, December, January rolls around, I'll share with you guys maybe another 21 products, because I mean, I did try out a bunch of goodies this year and it would be like really difficult for me, honestly, to just choose 10, you know what I'm saying? So I figured 2021, there's a rhythm to it. So I have a little bit of skincare, I have mainly makeup, and I have one fragrance that has been my absolute love so far this past year. So I will have all of these goodies linked down below in the description box. If you guys do purchase through the links, I do make a small commission and it is always 100% appreciated. So yes, let's go ahead and get started. The first item that I wanted to speak to you guys about is the NYX Marshmallow Primer. I picked this up like on a whim-ish at Target a little bit ago. They had this size for like $5-6 and then the full size, but I didn't want to spend $11-12 on the full size if I wasn't sure if I was gonna like it or not. This is amazing. Capitalized letters, beautiful on the skin. I feel like it fills in your pores beautifully, but it also kind of creates this beautiful, just very healthy, like looking base. I think this would be wonderful if you have dry skin. I personally have dry skin and I love it, but I could also see you loving it if you have oily skin. It's not too mattifying, it's not too hydrating, but there's just something to it that makes it like yummy, just so yummy on the skin. I also love that it smells like marshmallows, and it's honestly such a like absolute breeze to apply. It's been the primer I've been using pretty regularly since I purchased it, and I didn't expect to love it as much as I do, but super solid stuff. I would recommend 100%. Next up, I have these two foundations here. Now, I've spoken about other foundations that I've been loving for the past little while, like in so many previous videos. So I didn't want to just be repetitive and include like the same items, but I still stand true with those goodies and I love them. But I wanted to give these two goodies love as well because I've also been really loving these so much this past year. So, well, this year so far. I have the Hydro Flex Tarte C Serum Foundation. This is amazing. Now, I can't really speak to those who have oily skin, but I do have dry skin, and this is legit like a drink of water. You need so little to go a pretty long way. I would say this gives you medium to almost full coverage, and it looks like your face. It looks like your face, and I love that because there are so many times that I'll use foundations or even tinted moisturizer and it doesn't even look like my face. It looks like there's like an extra layer, or you can see every pore ever, or it looks like it just doesn't look real, and I'm all about like, I want it to look like my face, like especially if you see me in person, you know what I mean? And I feel like this truly provides that. It's also just so hydrating and very youthful looking and pretty on the face. I sometimes will use this with more of like a hydrating primer, but I don't necessarily think it necessarily needs that because it's so hydrating already. Or I'll even use it with like the NYX primer, which isn't too hydrating but not mattifying either. It's like the perfect medium. This also wears off beautifully throughout the day, and it looks good. I think it's one of the better ones that came out this year, and I'm just fully in love. Next, I have this foundation here from NARS. This is the Soft Matte Complete Foundation. I have mine in the shade Punjab. For the Tarte, I have Light Neutral, if you guys were curious. But interestingly, I really do like this, even though it's a soft matte foundation. I feel like it does kind of give your face more of like a mattifying finish, but not on like a... Like, I feel like sometimes with matte products, it feels like it's sucking the daylife out of my face kind of thing. With this one, it's not like that. Sometimes I'll even use this with more of a hydrating primer and it works out even more beautifully. But I mean, I used it today with the NYX primer and I love how the foundation is looking. This is full coverage, but it does not feel weighted. It does not look like fake on the face. It looks really pretty, and I just think it's one of the better full coverage foundations out there, because I've tried a few full coverage foundations, like right off the bat full coverage, and it's gonna be a no kind of thing, With the Tarte foundation, it could be buildable to full coverage. This one, it's pretty much full coverage right away. And if I am going for that look, I love using this. I think it's amazing. I think it would be great for those who have oily and or dry skin. I would give it a shot if you're looking for something full coverage. I have a bunch of breakouts going on this side of my face. I didn't even have to use concealer because this is so like, wow. Next up, I have this fragrance here by Chloe. This is the Nomad perfume. I think I got this earlier this year and I'm pretty much almost done with it. I have a few more uses with this one. This is my go-to everyday perfume. I love it. interestingly, a bunch of you guys who like my style of scents purchase this and you're like, Liora, this sucks. I think it's so good. I think it's amazing. I think it has more of like a floral type of sophisticated scent to it. There's just something about this one that like every time I wear it, I'm like, damn girl, you smell amazing, okay? And I just feel like automatically I turn into this like, you know, like girl type of thing, you know? It also lasts a pretty significant amount of time. I've been getting so much compliments on this one, and I mean, I feel like I never necessarily had like a signature scent. I think this is my baby. This is my signature scent. It is so good. Next, I wanted to speak to you guys about a highlighter. This right here is not one that I had in my collection for like even like 4 or 5 months. I think I had it for maybe a little bit over a month thus far, but I love this. I spoke about it in my I'll Keep You Posted video, and I mentioned there that the formula is so beautiful, silky, very like smooth, and just really, really nice on the skin. It's buildable, but it looks very like healthy on, and it doesn't necessarily look like it's sitting on the skin. It really just kind of blends in and creates such a beautiful effect. I love this. I have mine in the shade Pearl. I think that there are maybe like 6 shades in the line in total. The shade is perfection for me. It's like not too champagne-y, not too white. It's like just so nice. I haven't really found highlighter formulas that I head over heels with. I mean, there are select few that I love that I've been loving for a while. So for this one to kind of bump its way to spot number like 2, 3, like 1, 2, 3 kind of thing, it means a lot because I don't just love highlighters, I feel like, you know what I mean? So this right here is a definite winner. I love this one. Such good stuff. The formula is so silky. Next up, I have these 2 brow products here that I discovered this year and I'm absolutely in love with. It's pretty much the brow products that I use whenever I'm doing like my brows typically. So I have the Milani Weekend Brow here in the shade Espresso. It has like a felt tip to it. I love these lately. Like they just like, they're great to kind of flick up in the brows to create more of like those hair-like strokes. So I'll line out my brows with like a brow pencil, and then I'll use something like this to kind of flick hairs so it looks more real, you know? The NYX one is good. I did want to give this one a go, and this compared to the NYX one, I think this right here is a little bit more pigmented and a little bit easier to maneuver. The NYX one is still pretty good. I know that one is really popular, but I actually prefer this one a little bit more, and I think it's just easier to work with. So one that I've been loving a ton. I could see this being an absolute staple in my collection, one that I would repurchase time and time again. And you know, when I like brow products, I don't like fuss with that. Like, it's just like, usually it's in it to win it kind of thing, you know? So this is gonna probably always be in my life now that I discovered it. And I also really have been loving the Tinted Brow Mascara by NYX. So there are a bunch of these on the market. I also like the Claire one, which I've spoken about so many times here. But I really love this one too. I didn't think that I would because the wand on it is kind of huge, but in a way I kind of like that because it covers more surface area quicker. It's a faster product to work with, and the bristles are more on the stiffer side, so it really grasps onto the hair. It adds the perfect amount of color, not in an overdone way, but not nothing either. And it also allows your brows to stay in place. So I really think this is amazing from the drugstore, and I have mine in the shade Espresso. So both of these are actually in the shade Espresso. Next, I wanted to speak to you guys about 2 skincare products that have been absolute loves of my life. If you like how my skin looks, I feel like I try to take care of it as much as I could. I try to drink water and all of that, but skin is very important to me. Like, you know what I mean? So I love using products that actually make a difference. So I have 2 from Youth to the People here that I'm going to be sharing with you guys. Now, I have a few other skincare products that I wanted to include, but then I'm like, when it really comes down to it, what are like the top 2 that like you really can't live without? And I have to say, Youth to the People skincare products, they really are a very solid brand for goods. So I am going to throw in a demo of me using these just for funsies because I was like, why not? I know you guys love when I throw in demos, so I was able to do it for this, and so here you go. Basically, this is the Kale and Green Tea Spinach Vitamins Superfood Cleanser. It comes with a pump, and you basically mainly need one pump to create a good lather going for you. This has a nice light scent to it. Really calming for the morning, especially. That's when I like to use it, but I'll use it at night as well. It's very lightweight on the skin. Just feel like after I use this, my face looks and feels just beautiful. Actually, just a side note, I think that it's pretty cool that these products happen to be vegan as well. But yeah, this cleanser is just like such a nice mild cleanser that I feel like would be good for pretty much all skin types across the board. So if you haven't tried it, I think you would really enjoy it. I have one that I finished off, so this is pretty much empty. Love the bottle, by the way. I'm probably going to reuse it. So I have a new one out now. Next, I have this mask here that I personally think made such a massive difference in my skin, and I am in love. So I'm going to include a demo here as well so you guys can see how I use it. This is the Super Clay Purified Clear Power Mask. It has niacinamide, kombucha, and BHA. This product happens to be vegan as well. Basically, you apply an even layer onto the skin. You're supposed to leave it on for about 10 minutes, and you're able to use it between 1 to 3 times a week, depending on how much you think you would need it. The reason why I love this is because, first of all, the formula is really easy to work with. I'm honestly not that kind of person who loves like clay masks because I actually think that they're really annoying to work with. Mainly because I feel like they tighten my skin up and they're very drying, and then when I wash it off it takes years. This right here is like the opposite of all of that. It applies super seamlessly even when it dries down after like the 10-ish minutes. It doesn't feel like your face is tight, and then also when you wash it off, like that's the best part for me. It almost feels like it has just smoothness to it, and I feel like after I use this, my face just appears so much more brighter. I feel like it personally helps with my texture, and I just feel alive when I use this one. Okay, next up we have some cream blushes to discuss. You guys know, if you've been watching my channel, my videos for any length of time, I love the Tower 28 blushes. One shade specifically, that one is called, I think, Magic Hour. That's what it's called. So I love that, but I feel like I speak about it so much. And there are other cream blushes that I really do love. So, and then I don't even think that that one came out this past year, but this one did. This is from Melt Cosmetics. It's in the shade Honey Thief, and it's a really pretty peachy toned blush. I love the formula of this one as well. It also has like a nice like emollient feel. I feel like it doesn't give you as much of a maybe like glowy blush look, maybe more of like a satin like look to it, you know, with a hint of like glowiness, but not as much as the Tower 28 blushes. This sets down pretty quickly, but it's really easy to use. I find that it also lasts pretty much most of the day, and they have, I think, like 6 shades to choose from. I love this color. I think it's like the perfect peachy toned shade for every single day. I think it's amazing. So then I wanted to speak to you guys about these cream blushes. So initially when these came out, I actually did not like them, but then I started using them in different ways, and I'm like, you know what, I actually really appreciate these, and I'm happy that I do because I really enjoy the Pretty line from e.l.f. Plus these are so affordable and they're such a cute brand, you know? I like to use these with more of like a stiffer brush, not overly stiff but not flimsy at all, like in the middle there, because if you use a very flimsy brush where the bristles are all over the place, it's not gonna pick up at all because this is a very stiff formula. But if you use more of like a stiffer brush, how many more times did I say the word stiff, then it definitely picks up nicer. But you definitely don't want to use a brush that doesn't have any give to it, because then it'll just feel very uncomfortable to apply. But these are more of like a, I would say, satin, almost matte finish. But it doesn't look like drying on the face, I would say. I think it looks very pretty and almost like a powder like finish, you know? So I have 2 shades. This right here is in Bahamas. It's more of like a peachy toned color. And then I have the shade Turks and Caicos, which is more pinky. I will also say that these don't necessarily last the longest ever. I want to say the Melt blush and the Tower 28 one definitely lasts, you know, more or less, you know, the whole day. These I would say are more of like a 3-4 hour blush, but it wears off beautifully and I think it looks very real on the skin. Okay, next up we have some powder blushes. I have these 2 to share with you guys. So first up I have the Pat McGrath blush here in Divine Rose. It is a beautiful rosy toned, mauve toned color. I really like the shade. It's very different compared to anything else that I own in my collection. I think it'll be even more perfect going into the fall and winter months. I would describe this blush as more of like a powder glue blush, in a way where like pretty much wherever you place it, that's where it stays. It does blend out somewhat pretty easily, but it's probably the longest lasting powder blush that I own in my collection. Like it lasts, like lasts. There are, I want to say, about 8-ish shades in the line. Some matte finishes. This is a matte finish, and some luminous finish blushes. I like this formula. I don't know if I would go for the luminous one, but I'm really happy with this. It's been serving me well, and I think that it's just an amazing quality blush. Definitely pretty pricey, but if your blush fades quickly, this probably will be your answer, because this is not like, stays put. The next blush I have here is from Patrick Ta. I don't think this is necessarily new for this year. Maybe, maybe not. But this is in the shade She's Passionate. It's new to me though for this year, so I love it. This is my favorite high-end blush since I received it. I think I got it in Ipsy. The embossment is pretty much not even there anymore. Probably the easiest buildable blush to build up ever. And it's also pretty long lasting too. I think the shade is also gorgeous. I think it goes with, I know that it goes with pretty much any makeup look. Anytime I don't know what blush to use, this is pretty much the one I go for because it goes with everything. And it looks so pretty on, you know? The quality is really outstanding and the formula is very, very unique. So just a winner in my eyes for sure. I love this a ton. Next I have a loose powder here. I don't think this came out this year, but it is new to me for this year. I think they sent it over maybe like 2-3 months ago. I really like this. It has a little bit more of like a thicker formula to it, but it bakes really, really beautifully. It really helps with creasing under the eye area and it doesn't leave a white cast, which is a huge deal for me. So this is in the shade Pound Cake. They have a few other shades to choose from. There is a sifter to it, which kind of makes it a drop annoying because the product doesn't come out super easily. But when you kind of like, you know, dunk it into the lid, like you should be fine. I love a bunch of other loose powders, but this right here has been a winner in my book since I started using it. It's one that I just consistently use time and time again. And I think it pretty much just provides everything I need in a loose powder. So I really love this one. I think it's so, so worth it. Good stuff. I also have a powder here. So, sorry, I'm a little more of a pressed powder here. This is from the drugstore. This is from L'Oreal. It's the foundation in a powder. So I like to use this to set my entire face when I'm wearing foundation, or sometimes I'll just use this as like my foundation and just put on concealer and go for that look. But I think this is amazing, such high quality. I have one powder from MAC that I hit pan on. It's my second one. I really, really love it, but I think that this is pretty much the same thing. It's very comparable. It has a nice, very smooth feel to it. Blends out beautifully. You can go lighter with this or heavier, but it still looks very like silky on the skin. You can get lightish coverage with this, but if you really pack it in and push it into the skin, maybe even medium if you're going for that powder look. I just think it looks flawless. I think that once I'm done with the MAC one, I'm just gonna focus on this one because I love the consistency. I love how it makes my face look. It looks real, and that's what I'm about. So I love that one a ton. That did come out this year. Next up, I have a bronzer that I've been head over heels with. It's from Knoblot, the Skin Bronzing Bronzer in Soft Revenge. I love the packaging, really nice. And this is just, it's really good stuff. It's such an easy bronzer to work with. Definitely not powdery at all, not flaky, very, very fine. Picks up on the brush beautifully and builds up gorgeously on the skin. So this does lean more towards the clear tone side slightly, but it doesn't look ashy on the skin. I think it's beautiful. I love the color on me personally, and the formula is just so easy to work with. If you have a hard time with bronzers and you're just kind of like, I have no idea what to do, because there was a time that I had no idea what I'm doing with bronzers. You know what I'm saying? And it's always like a learning process, I feel like. So this just makes things really easy, and I like to wear this on days where I'm going for more of like a natural look, because it's, you know, it can go light if you want, but when it builds up so well, and it looks so chiseled and pretty on the skin, and I just love it. So good. Next up, I wanted to speak to you guys about some lip products. So I feel like this year was the year of glosses for me. I feel like there was a time, I mean, I love liquid lipsticks, I love traditional lipsticks, I love stuff, you know, but I feel like this year more than ever, I maybe focus more on lip glosses. And so here are the few that I have that I feel like I've been using pretty regularly, pretty consistently, and I would love to share with you guys. First up, I have this Kaja gloss. So I just pulled out one from each, like from my drawer, but I have like a few of each from these brands. So this is a Kaja gloss. This specifically is in the shade Milk Tea. Love this. It feels beautiful on the lips, very hydrating, kind of like a hybrid between an oil and a lip gloss. Non-sticky at all, adds the perfect amount of color, and it's so good. I think it's amazing. Does it have a smell? I forgot. It has a little bit of like a vanilla-ish, vanilla-y smell, vanilla-ish. Next up, we have the Kosas Wet Glosses. These give your lips a hint of color, and it kind of looks more watery, hence the name. This is the shade Dip. It also has a little bit of like a minty spearmint scent to it, but not overpowering. I put a little bit on my lips. It feels great. It feels like a gloss. It feels nice, you know? I just don't know how to explain the difference between everything, because the ones that I'm speaking about, they all just feel like ultimately amazing. Also not sticky. Tower 28 glosses are amongst my favorites as well. This specifically is in the shade Almond. This is more of like a creamier finish, I want to say, and you do get a decent amount of pigmentation with this. So love wearing these on their own or like with a lip liner, sometimes a liquid lipstick, but it just adds like the perfect color. Not the longest lasting, but really pretty on and very comfortable. Did I say that already? The NYX This Is Milky Gloss is amazing. I finished off a quarter of this one. This is in the shade Milk and Honey. This also has more of like a watery, very hydrating, slightly oily type of feel. It doesn't really add much color, just a drop, like 10% of color. But I love wearing this if I just need to touch up, but I don't want to like do the whole thing, and I kind of still have a little bit of something on, like from my lipstick or something, and I just want to put something glossy on top. I'll put this on. Such a beautiful formula. NYX does so well with their glosses and lip products in general, so that's a winner. I also love the Essence Shine 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 gloss. This is a clear gloss. I love clear glosses to wear on their own or to top over anything. Essence makes like one of my favorite ones ever, and this is like $3 at the drugstore. Delicious on the lips, very juicy and heavenly and non-sticky. So good. Okay, now finally moving on to eyeshadow palettes. There were a bunch of other palettes that I wanted to include, but these are the ones that I feel like I've been using pretty regularly. Of course, the other ones that I've spoken about here and there, I also really love. You know, if I love something, I'm like, yeah, I love this, or you know, if I don't love it, I either don't talk about it as much, or I just tell you I just don't really like it, and then it's out of sight, out of mind kind of thing. But yeah, these are winners, and I mean, you've seen them on my channel, so hopefully it's not too repetitive. First up, we have the Natasha Denona Mini Love Palette. I have a first impression up on this. Love. Really excited for her new, what's it called? Cool tone palette that she's going to be releasing. But this is my favorite little one from her line thus far. It's a beautiful rosy tone, purpley tone palette. You get one metallic, two almost like satin type of shades, and two mattes. You can really do a lot with this one, go more lighter or go more dramatic. I think personally, if you don't own any of her bigger palettes and you want to see what her quality is like, this I want to say is pretty much a true representation of what her larger palettes have to offer. Not all her little ones are equally amazing, but this right here is definitely up there. I love that it's $25, but you can do so much with this, and it's just my favorite little one. If you guys want to know more about it, I have, like I mentioned, the first impression. I have a look on it. It still has my heart completely. Next, I have the Patrick Top palette here. This right here is called the Major Dimension Eyeshadow Palette. With this one as well, I have a first impression up on this. This is just solid stuff. If you're going for that bronzy, like everyday or like, you know, natural glam look, this is beautiful. The tones are amazing. The browns are perfectly brown, not too like dirty looking on the eye, but not, you know what I mean? Very buildable. The metallic / glittery shades are so sparkly and stunning on the eyes. I do have a first impression up on this as well, and I love it. It's such a super smooth, easy formula to work with. Kind of similar to his blush, you know what I mean? Like just super smooth, buildable, easy, just the type where like you really don't have to put any effort. Legit, don't put any effort. You got a look going for you with this one. You have two creams up here as well, which you can kind of set the lids with and then go in with the powders, the mattes, and the glittery like metallic shades if you want to. I don't tend to use the creams as much, but in regards to these, I love it. It also kind of gives me like JLo vibes, like that bronze goddess energy. This is what it is. It's so amazing. And then finally, the last item that I have to share with you guys is this right here from ABH, and this is the Norvina eyeshadow palette. This one shocked me because I don't have a first impression up on this actually. I was gonna have it, but then it didn't end up happening. I love it. So this is one that I had for maybe like 2-ish months, but it's such a good palette. Like lately though, I haven't been into bigger palettes. Like I just don't really gravitate towards them as much. I'm kind of over it. Maybe in the past I was into it more, but now not so much. So even when I purchased this, I was kind of hesitant because I'm like, I just don't know if I'm gonna use it, you know what I mean? But the consistency is so beautiful. Like I feel like also sometimes with bigger palettes, maybe brands kind of like cheap out on the quality a bit, so they don't seem as delicious as like maybe like a smaller palette or an 8-pan palette or 10-pan palette. But this is beautiful. Very easy formula to work with. We have a multitude of different finishes in here: glittery finishes, metallic finishes, satin finishes, matte finishes, matte with glitters. You get basically mainly purpley tones, some browns, slightly more on the cooler tone side. And then really gorgeous, like, just like iridescent type of colors too. All the shades work so beautiful hand in hand together, and every time I use this, I'm just always so satisfied with the looks. The looks you could create are also just like they come out different, you know? Like, yeah, it's a purple brown palette, but the looks don't come out the same if you don't want it to come out the same, you know? So I think it's amazing. The quality is outstanding, and I have a lot of fun with this one all of the time. So that is pretty much it. Those were all of the items that I wanted to speak to you guys about for today. I feel like I spoke for like at least 3 hours here. That's what it felt like. I need to drink something ASAP, but I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know what your top favorite goodies are for 2021 so far. I would love to know if they're the same as mine, or if they're different, or if maybe they're products that I haven't even heard of. Keep me posted. I love hearing from you all. And yeah, I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.